The Elder Scrolls series is recognized as a massive franchise that will bring in all the money with every release. Even Elder Scrolls Online got fairly poor reviews and I still got it, on release date. If that doesn't say how highly the series is held by its fans, I don't know what does. My first experience with the Elder Scrolls series was Oblivion on the 360. I got every achievement for that game and still play the hell out of it. Completing every little bit of the DLC for this game, I felt as though Bethesda made the best open world game ever. Then they announced its successor, a game that would go on to define fantasy open world games, Skyrim. When Skyrim first came out, I did play the hell out of it. That being said, my enjoyment died out after a month or so. Sadly to me, Skyrim didn't live up to the greatness that was Oblivion. But Skyrim has been re-released on PS4 and Xbox One, so I decided to jump back into the Nordic world and give it a second go. After getting the Platinum Trophy, I wanted to make a full switch back over to Oblivion and see how it fared out after I've been gone for so long. Now, let's jump into this comparison. Let's see what these games are like from the outside. With no context, Skyrim would be the one to go to. It has better graphics, more people talk about it, and it was just released on the newer consoles. That being said, Oblivion has more diversity in its landscape. Skyrim is the snowy area of Tamriel, while Cyrodiil is the center of this bustling world. On top of that, when you actually reach Oblivion, you feel like you've entered hell. The fire and brimstone features of this land can be very off-putting at first. But don't get me wrong, Skyrim has its beautiful environments. Oblivion is just more vibrant. While Skyrim's world might not be varied, the enemies seem more mixed. In this world, you can take on creatures that were never featured in Oblivion, while also taking on previous creatures like trolls, bears, and so on. The most common difference in the enemies are the dragons in Skyrim and the Daedra in Oblivion. Oblivion is slightly more complicated than Skyrim in the way that levels are increased and how skills affect your character. In Oblivion, you have 7 major skills. When they increase, you gain more experience points. To level up, you sleep, and that gives you a chance to increase your strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, speed, endurance, personality, and luck. This is not always by 1 point. You will be given a chance to increase your abilities by more than 1 point randomly. Depending on the level of your skill, you might have different perks, like performing different power attacks as your combat skill increases. In Skyrim, all skills increase your level the same. You level up instantly. You choose between health, magicka, or stamina. All do different things above increasing your meters. You also gain a perk point. These allow you to unlock perks based on the skill tree for each skill. Some of these skills can be increased further up to a certain point as well. If you increase your skill up to 100, you may make it legendary by resetting it to 15. You gain back all of your perk points and you can redistribute them. This allows you to indefinitely level up. Before you pick which game to play, you'll need to understand that they are both fairly different from each other. Skyrim's art style is more similar to Morrowind's. Oblivion has more human features to its characters. The elven characteristics in Skyrim look vastly different from the human shapes, making it easier to spot different races. If you're going into Skyrim, as I said before, be prepared to see a lot of winter scenes because the land of Skyrim is the northern area of Tamriel. This makes the majority of its landscapes covered in snow. You will also see flurries on your travels through the countryside. If you choose to play Oblivion, know that you're going into the most culturally diverse area of Tamriel. Another thing you should know is how much of an impact the story is going to have on the game. I'll let you know more in the actual story later, but I think I should make it clear that you should not complete Oblivion's main story until you feel you are ready. Skyrim's story is ever present. Many people talk about the Civil War and the effects on their everyday lives. In Oblivion, gates to the hellish world open in random areas and offer the player many good items and equipment. Completing the main game in Skyrim does not make dragons stop appearing. However, completing the main game in Oblivion makes the gates stop appearing. Since they offer so much great rewards, I'd recommend leaving the main story until last. This is a great time to move on to the gameplay. There are many similarities to these games, but the differences might make the gameplay section of this video longer than usual. Let's quickly touch on the similarities of the gameplay. Though most screenshots and videos show a first-person view, you can change to the third-person view in both games. I would recommend only using this view in the overworld, as going into dungeons can make it a little claustrophobic. Skill levels are increased by making use of them. When you attack someone with your sword, the corresponding skill will increase. Same when you use a spell or get attacked while wearing certain armors. As certain skills develop, you'll find that you'll receive boosts to various applicable items, like the attack on your sword or spell increasing. The biggest differences are how you can use these skills. Smithing in Oblivion is just repairing your used equipment. Swords, armor, bows, they all have health that you need to maintain as they continue to protect you or deal as much damage as they can. In Skyrim, smithing is actually creating your equipment and refining it to be better. Equipment no longer takes damage and stays at its maximum stats based on how much you've improved it. Skyrim has also done away with blade and blunt. You now have one or two-handed. This means you can use daggers, swords, axes, and maces if you choose one-handed, or you can use greatswords, battle axes, or warhammers if you choose two-handed. As you increase either of these skills, whether it's one-handed or two-handed for Skyrim, or blades or blunts for Oblivion, the damage your weapons are capable of increases. Skyrim has also done away with hand-to-hand as a skill. In Skyrim, you can also dual wield. Yes, you can take two one-handed weapons and equip them to your character. As such, you can do the same with magic, allowing you to cast stronger versions of spells by dual casting them. This being said, the screen does look a little full when you're dual wielding. You cannot just have your sword out and cast a single spell like in Oblivion. They must be equipped to separate hands. Now let's talk about the story. Just like in every other Elder Scrolls game, you start off as a prisoner. In Oblivion, you're in the Imperial jail where the Emperor shows up. He's on the run from a group of assassins called the Mythic Dawn. Your cell is his only exit. But his luck ain't good, and he dies. It's then up to you to find his son, bring him back to the throne, and get rid of the Mythic Dawn for good. In Skyrim, you wake up on a caravan with other prisoners heading for execution. You are there alongside Ulfric Stormcloak, the leader of the rebellion against the Imperials. Just before your head jumps off your shoulders, Ulduin, a legendary dragon, shows up and crashes the party. This leads to you finding out that you're what's called a Dragonborn, meaning you can shout at the devil and deal some damage too. So you set on a quest to defeat Ulduin before he destroys the world. Either which game you play, the story only represents a fraction of what you can do in the games. There are guilds to join and quest with. There are side quests and minor quests, quests that make you go to the other side of the map, while other quests you've accidentally completed or have the necessary materials to complete right when you start it. There are also plenty of castles, caves, dungeons to go through on your own, so you'll never feel like you have nothing to do. In the end, both games have something to come back for. Both look great in their own right, and the jump from PS3 to PS4 for Skyrim is definitely worth it. Both have stories you don't need to care about. Both have something to stand for on their own. I mean, both have flaws, like a lot of glitches. Madam? You just gonna keep hoeing that walkway? Okay. I went into this comparison thinking I'd say that Oblivion was the better game. While playing Skyrim, I couldn't help but think, I can't wait to play Oblivion once I'm done of this. And then once it came time for me to play it, I forgot all the things that Skyrim added that I love. Stuff like a better quest menu, better HUD, better perks, a better map, and more fleshed out guild storylines. But even when you consider all of that, Oblivion still has this charm about it. It's more colorful. It has a more fulfilling main storyline. Thanks to the lands of Oblivion, you get to experience different landscapes more frequently than in Skyrim. Everything looks more vibrant and feels like it's filled with life. Even in the lands of Oblivion, the hellish wastelands feel alive right in front of you. But that's not what this is about. This video is to explain how one of these is more superior than the other, even if it's only by a margin. One has to come out on top. We must have a winner. There can only be one. Right? Right? Wait. This is my show. I can do what I want. I'm the one in control. My decision is final here. So what's it gonna be? Who's the winner? Who gets the trophy of better Elder Scrolls game out of these two? Well, let's talk about the scores first. Oblivion brought me back to a land filled with color and life. In a world of gaming where grays and browns took over the screen, it's a welcoming sight. Going back to the lands of Oblivion brought me back much nostalgia. I loved getting lost in the desolate plains. This world just feels so alive and bright. Quests seem to have more variety than the average open world game, introducing you to individual characters with personality. Trying out all the different types of spells and combat styles makes for a fun experience. And that's why Oblivion gets a 9.5 out of 10. Now, on to Skyrim. Though the Winter Wastelands can get stale at times, it definitely sets the tone for the entire game. You're in a poor part of Tamriel. You're no longer in the rich, vibrant world of Cyrodiil. Welcome to Skyrim. You better shut the fuck up because no one's gonna care if you complain about the standard of living. The guilds feel more personal than before and offer new takes on the stories we already know from Oblivion. I had a lot of fun getting the Platinum Trophy for this, and the PS4 improvements go a long way. I want to go back and finish anything I forgot to do. Fighting dragons makes me feel like such a badass. Using shouts, dual wielding, and sprinting are great additions to the controls. Making skills legendary to indefinitely level up is also lots of fun. And that's why my final rating for Skyrim is 9.5 out of 10. Wait, did I just do that? We have a tie, ladies and gentlemen. I can't decide for the life of me. I hate to cop out like this, but it's really how I feel. I cannot just pick one. It has to be both. I love these games. When I played Skyrim for the first time, I think I was expecting Oblivion 2.0, something along the same lines as Shivering Isles, but with better graphics and dragons. But what I got was a frozen wasteland of similar landscapes, so I dropped it in favor of other games at the time. Probably Dynasty Warriors. Anyways, coming back to them both after such a long time, I'm beginning to see what everyone else saw in Skyrim. Oblivion still holds up today, too. I didn't touch on any of the DLC for either game, except for adopting and accidentally starting the Dragonborn and Dawnguard stories. Not to mention the fact that I only really played Oblivion enough to capture some footage and get a good feel of the controls and features. I didn't get all the trophies for it again because there are none. If there were, I'd probably go for the Platinum again. I already got all the achievements on the 360, and have next to nothing on Skyrim for the 360 or PS3. I even went and bought it again on PS3 to give it a try and couldn't get back into it, probably because I was playing Dynasty Warriors. But now I have played and enjoyed both. Though I played Oblivion shorter than I played Skyrim for this script, I still have many fond memories of playing the title and getting lost in its world. I might even go back to the PS3 version of Skyrim and get the Platinum for that too. And that's why, in this comparison, we have a tie. Thanks for watching. So how about that? 3 comparisons in and only one video actually had a winner that's in the title. This was such a difficult decision, even harder than Dynasty Warriors vs Samurai Warriors. I played the crap out of both games to try and sway my mind one way. I even went back to Skyrim on the PS3 to get some footage to compare the graphics, and it didn't make me sway any further from Oblivion. Just goes to show some games are created equally. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got many other open world games to play. Click on the links you see to be taken to other videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below on your favorite Elder Scrolls game.